Let's suppose you have a cursed wind-up monkey that kills whenever it plays its drum. Twin brothers Hal and Bill bury it after their family dies. Years later, Bill digs it up, using it for revenge, causing more deaths. Hal tries to stop him, but chaos ensues. So what's going to happen and how to get rid of this deadly monkey? We are going to talk about the movie named The Monkey Release in 2025. It's a horror movie, so let's break it down. A man walks into a pawn shop dripping in blood. Not exactly the best first impression, but hey, we've all had bad Mondays. This guy? Captain Shelburne. And what's his grand offering? A nightmare-inducing wind-up monkey toy holding drumsticks. Because when you're covered in blood, obviously the first thing you think is, let me go sell this creepy thing. The shop owner, who apparently has survived life without making too many questionable decisions, immediately squints at this situation. Bro, what's with the blood? He asks, probably already considering how to disinfect the counter. Shelburne, like every horror movie character who refuses to get to the point, just shrugs and says, oh, don't worry, it's not mine. Oh, great, so reassuring. Now, the shop owner, who used to jam out with Captain K back in the day, takes a look at this toy. It's old, it's creepy, and worst of all, it's broken, or so he thinks. One of its hands is stuck in the air, he points out. Like, that's the biggest problem in this mess of a situation. Captain Shelburne, completely ignoring the fact that he looks like he just walked out of a crime scene, goes full dramatic mode. Trust me, if its hands were down and the drum was playing, someone here would be dead. Oh, fantastic. So now we're dealing with a cursed monkey toy that kills people? And Shelburne thought bringing this thing to a pawn shop was a good idea? Dude, just throw it into the ocean like every other responsible person who finds haunted objects. But no, let's traumatize a shop owner instead. Welcome to the worst business transaction of all time. He was trying to sell this obviously cursed monkey toy, and just as things couldn't get worse, guess what? The monkey starts playing its little drum. Oh, fantastic. Just what we needed. Meanwhile, across the shop, a rat. Yes, a rat. Because every cursed story needs an accomplice, decides it's time to chew through a rope. And because fate has a dark sense of humor, this sets off the most ridiculous Rube Goldberg machine of chaos. One thing leads to another. An arrow is somehow fired. Why is there an arrow in the pawn shop? And boom, shopkeeper gets impaled. Dead, gone. Just another Tuesday, apparently. At this point, Captain Shelburne finally puts two and two together. Huh, maybe this monkey is evil. Genius. Absolutely groundbreaking realization. So what does he do? He sets the little menace on fire. Because that's definitely how you deal with supernatural death machines. Just light them up and hope for the best. And then, in a move that proves he was Father of the Year, Captain Shelburne dramatically declares, I'm leaving this big trouble for my sons. Ah yes, truly an inspiration to dads everywhere. Instead of, I don't know, making sure this thing never comes back, he just hands over a death curse like it's a family heirloom. Fast forward to 1999. Enter Hal and Bill, twin brothers who live with their mother. They're about 14 or 15 years old, blissfully unaware that their father basically cursed them before ghosting the family. Speaking of their dad, their mom tells them the classic, your father went out for cigarettes and never came back story. But we know the truth. He probably got drums rolled into oblivion. Now, let's talk about Hal and Bill. Sure, they're twins, but Hal is 3 whole minutes older, which apparently makes him the supreme ruler of their sibling dynamic. He never lets Bill forget it and spends most of his time bullying him like a discount villain from an 80s movie. Because what's a horror story without some classic sibling torment? And so, the stage is set. 2 unsuspecting kids, an absent father who dumped a nightmare onto them, and a murderous monkey toy waiting to ruin lives once again. What could possibly go wrong? Oh right, everything. Oh wow, because nothing says great parenting like a mother too busy to notice her kids stumbling upon a cursed family heirloom. Hal and Bill, left to their own devices, decide that snooping through their absentee dad's closet is the best way to spend their free time. And guess what they find? The monkey. Yep, the same murder monkey that single-handedly ruined their father's life. And because kids in horror movies have the collective IQ of a soggy sock, they get excited when they see a warning on the box that basically says, "Go ahead, turn the key and find out how quickly you can die." Naturally, Bill tells Hal to crank it up because, hey, what's the worst that could happen? Hal winds up the monkey and nothing happens. Well, phew, guess it's broken. He shoves it back into the box like it's just some old toy instead of, a literal death trap. And then the monkey decides it's not done yet. Next, we cut to a very normal outing. Hal, Bill, and their babysitter Annie head to a live restaurant. Hal notices the monkey chilling in the car like some deranged hitchhiker and briefly wonders how it got there. But does he freak out, throw it out, burn it again? Nope. He just shrugs and brings it with him, because when in doubt, always bring your haunted objects to dinner. Meanwhile, Bill, who has the raging hormones of a middle school Romeo, spends the meal awkwardly crushing on their babysitter. But before things can get any more cringe, Hal hears the sound of tiny demonic drums. And what do you know? A knife just happens to slip from the chef's hand, defying all physics and common sense, and impales the babysitter right in front of them. Instant death. Oh, but wait, it gets better. Hal finally pieces it together. Maybe winding up that obviously cursed monkey was a bad idea. See, ding, ding, ding. We have a winner. So now we have two traumatized kids, a very dead babysitter, and a monkey with a body count. And something tells me this thing is just getting started. Ah yes, the classic life goes on pep talk from mom. Because nothing soothes a child's trauma like reminding them that death is inevitable. Super comforting, really. But Hal, our intellectual protagonist, decides to take matters into his own hands. Instead of, telling an adult that a possessed monkey might be behind these deaths, he straight up asks the monkey itself. Yep, just a casual, "Hey, Mr. Murder Monkey, did you happen to kill our babysitter?" interrogation. And then enters Bill, the worst brother of the year, who not only dismisses Hal's concerns, but bullies him into insulting the literal instrument of death. Smart move, Bill. Nothing bad could possibly come from antagonizing a toy that murders people for fun. The monkey strikes again. Next, Hal goes to school, where he gets roasted by a bunch of girls because Bill, being the absolute menace, he has decided to spread the monkey story to the whole school. Imagine getting bullied twice in one day, once by your own brother and then by your classmates. Tough week for Hal. So naturally, he storms home, fueled by rage and humiliation. And instead of venting in a journal like a normal teenager, he does what any completely stable person would do. He winds up the monkey and wishes death upon Bill. Great plan, Hal. Truly galaxy brain thinking right here. But in the grand tradition of be careful what you wish for, the monkey decides to go for the plot twist kill and takes out their mom instead. Just imagine, Bill walks in, asks his mom a question, and boom, her ears start bleeding like she's in some cursed horror movie trailer. Seconds later, she's dead. Doctors call it a rare brain hemorrhage, but we all know the truth. It was Hal's rage-fueled monkey wish. Now Hal, finally realizing that this monkey is the equivalent of a homicidal boomerang, cuts it into pieces and throws it in the garbage. But guess what? The monkey, come back. Because once this thing marks you, you're done. It's like a toxic ex. You can't block it, you can't escape it, and it's always lurking around waiting to ruin your life. Meanwhile, Bill, now completely broken, refuses to take off his funeral clothes. Why? Because he's terrified that if he changes, there might be another funeral to attend. Honestly, at this point, I don't blame him. Ah yes, because nothing screams mentally stable adult like pretending your brother doesn't exist just to avoid getting hunted down by a murder monkey. So back in 1999, Bill and Hal, now officially orphans, get packed off to Maine by their uncle and aunt because nothing heals childhood trauma like a fresh dose of family tragedy. At this point, Hal, still carrying the emotional weight of accidentally assassinating his own mom, decides to spill the tea to Bill. Hey bro, remember that creepy monkey? Yeah, I kinda wounded up and wished you dead, but oops, mom took the L instead. Bill naturally calls BS, but instead Instead of laughing it off or smacking Hal upside the head like a normal sibling, he suggests they test it out, as if it's some science fair project instead of a murderous drum-playing demon toy. So Hal once again makes the worst decision of his life and cranks up the monkey. And guess what? Uncle bites the dust, trampled by a bunch of horses, because apparently this monkey doesn't just kill people, it kills them in the most bizarrely theatrical ways possible. Finally, the two brain cells these brothers share connect, and they decide, hey, maybe let's not play with the murder monkey anymore. So they pull a DIY horror movie exorcism, lock the monkey in a box, wrap it in chains, and bury it in a cave because, of course, caves are known for keeping supernatural entities locked away forever. Definitely no way this could backfire. And just like that, 1999 is over. Fast forward 25 years, present day. Now we see Hal, who has somehow survived adulthood despite making the worst decisions as a teenager. He works as a storekeeper, has zero contact with Bill, because why risk inviting another monkey massacre, and generally lives like a guy who knows karma is waiting to dropkick him. But life isn't done screwing him over yet. Turns out his ex-wife and her new husband are taking full custody of his son, Pete. Bill be like, hey Hal, you're officially useless. Bye. So now this is his last week with his kid, and what does he do? Road trip time. Because nothing strengthens a father-son bond like a poorly planned motel adventure, while Hal pretends his entire bloodline doesn't exist. When Pete, being a normal, curious child, asks if Hal has any siblings, Hal straight up lies. Nope. I'm an only child, which is a bold choice considering 1, Bill is very much alive, and 2, ignoring your past always leads to disaster in horror stories. At this point, it's not a question of if the monkey is coming back, it's just a matter of time. Meanwhile, in Maine, Aunt Ida, a woman who thought her biggest problem was getting old in peace, is about to have the worst day of her life. She hears some sketchy noises in her house, which, in a horror movie, is code for get out while you still can. But does she leave? Nope. Instead, she grabs a gun like she's about to 1v1 a ghost. She creeps up the stairs slowly, suspensefully, and then bam, the stairs betray her. Because if there's one thing the monkey loves, it's ironic deaths. So down she goes, crashing into the floor like a discount stunt double. But she's a tough old lady, and she survives. Thinking the universe is done messing with her, she starts picking splinters out of her face, only to realize, oh great, now there's a mystery gas leak. At this point, Aunt Ida really should just leave the house. But no, she decides to investigate like a true horror movie character. And surprise, the gas explodes, her head catches fire, and she runs straight into a billboard like a human torch. Back to Hal, living his best nightmare. Over at the motel, Hal, our walking bad luck charm, wakes up in terror after having a totally normal dream about his mother looking like a demon straight out of a budget horror film. Just as he's trying to shake off the post-nightmare panic attack, his phone rings. Guess who? Bill. Yes, the long-lost brother he's been pretending doesn't exist. And Bill's got great news. Hey man, so that murder monkey? Yeah, it's back. Hal, being the rational thinker he is, immediately starts arguing instead of freaking out like a normal person, and in true horror movie fashion, right as they're bickering about how to stop a cursed monkey, the motel's air conditioner decides to commit manslaughter. It short circuits, falls into the swimming pool, and electrocutes a poor random girl who just wanted to go for a swim, because clearly this monkey doesn't just kill, it goes for style points. Hal's oh crap moment. So after watching people drop like flies just because he said the monkey's name out loud, Hal finally connects the dots. Step 1, monkey appears. Step 2, random violent accidents. Step 3, Hal realizing he's been walking around with a portable death curse. Brilliant detective work, Hal. Only took what? A lifetime of trauma? Now, logically, any sane person would run for the hills, maybe change their identity and move to another country. But Hal, nope. His brilliant plan, take his son straight to the source of the nightmare Aunt Ida's house. Because what better way to protect your kid than bringing him to the cursed ground where your entire family has been dying mysteriously for decades? Meanwhile, in the dumbest auction ever over in town, Aunt Ida's belongings are up for grabs, and some random kid named Ricky monkey. He buys the monkey. Of course he does, because when you see a creepy bloodstained wind-up toy at a garage sale, the first thing that comes to mind is, yes, I need this in my life. To make things even better, we get a flashback of Ricky's childhood trauma. His dad was a deadbeat cheating scumbag, and his mom never let him forget it. Great. Now we have a cursed monkey and childhood issues in the mix. This can only go well. Hal meets Agent Barbara, who is about to have a bad day. So Hal and Pete finally roll into town and meet Agent Barbara, who's apparently the only person in this town with a functioning brain. She explains that people have been dying left and right in suspicious accidents, to which Hal, with the emotional intelligence of a brick, casually replies, "Oh yeah, by the way, I have a twin brother. Forgot to mention that." Pete, who up until now thought his dad was an only child, suddenly realizes his whole life has been a lie. Anyway, Hal and Barbara head over to the storeroom, where Hal asks the most important question of the day. Hey, did you find a creepy monkey toy in the auction? Barbara, being clueless, says she doesn't remember anything about a monkey, and as if the universe itself is tired of everyone's stupidity, she opens the storeroom door. Boom! A shotgun inside goes off. And well, you already know how this story ends. Rest in peace, Agent Barbara. Gone too soon because she made the mistake of standing next to Hal. Plot twist, Bill went full psycho mode. So while Hal was out here living in ignorant bliss, Bill was apparently cooking up a revenge plan for 25 years. And guess what? The monkey never actually left. Because of course, when you try to bury a demonic toy in a cave, it's definitely gonna stay there forever. Flawless plan. Let's break this down. Turns out Bill found the monkey's key in the cave and decided, you know what would be fun? Spending the rest of my life searching for this death machine. And because this universe runs on pure karma, the monkey magically found its way back to him. The moment Ricky bought it at the auction, he sold it to Bill, because why not fund your trauma with secondhand murder toys? And ever since then, Bill has been using it to casually kill people in town like it's his own personal Final Destination machine. Bill's evil master plan, let's kill my brother. So Bill, being the pettiest twin in existence, still hasn't let go of the past. Apparently he believes Hal is responsible for their mother's death and their babysitter's death because Hal was the one who wound up the monkey. Now, was this an accident? Yes. Did Hal mean to kill their mom? Obviously not. But Bill, nah, forget logic. Instead of therapy, he decides the best way to cope is murdering half the town and luring his brother into a death trap because sure, that makes total sense. Final Destination, Monkey Edition. Oh, you thought this was just a cursed toy? Nah, buddy. This thing was planning world domination, Ricky's big mistake. My guy Ricky literally walks into Bill's murder cave demanding the monkey back like it's some missing Amazon package. Bill says no, obviously, because he's got unfinished business with his twin, aka murder. Ricky, having the IQ of a potato, sticks around long enough to die in the dumbest way possible. Monkey plays the drum, gun fires, misses Ricky. Bullet hits a beehive instead. Bees, nature's hitmen, swarm into Ricky's mouth like he's Winnie the Pooh. Ricky dies a painfully ironic death. Meanwhile, in Bill's trap house, Bill loses his mind completely and starts manually moving the monkey's hands like a desperate street performer. The monkey, being the psychotic drum-playing demon that it is, decides to escalate things and triggers a literal apocalypse instead. Cannonball to the face, Bill's dead, planes falling from the sky. Sure, why not? The entire town turns into a disaster movie? Of course. And the ending that makes zero sense. Hal and his son survive all of this madness and decide that the best course of action is adopting the literal murder monkey. Yeah. Instead of throwing it into a volcano, they're like, let's keep it as a pet. Surely we can control it, right? Because that worked out so well for everyone else. Moral of the story, if you find a haunted toy, don't wind it up, burn it, crush it, send it to the moon, and pray. If your long-lost twin calls after 25 years, just block them. If a monkey starts playing a drum, run. The Monkey, 2025. Because Annabelle wasn't scary enough final moments of the movie. Just when you thought this fever dream was over, boom, Ghost Horseman cameo. He casually rides by like it's the Halloween parade, leaving behind a mysterious cross symbol that absolutely no one explains. Hal and Pete, zero reaction. They just drive off like seeing an undead cowboy is a Tuesday afternoon thing. The ending was like, hey, hey, what if we just kept the killer monkey as a pet? Bold strategy. Let's see how that plays out. And don't forget, if this movie made money, expect a sequel where the monkey joins the Fast and Furious franchise.